Yes, for recording.
Okay. Is it okay if I videotape this interview?
Sure.
Fantastic. So tell me, how long have you lived in the area?
I've lived in the area all my life. Do I have to tell you the number of years?
No, you don't. And what area did you grow up in?
I grew up right on the outskirts of Springfield,
So where we are now?
where we are now. And it was actually more closely related to Burke. And it was right on the outskirts of Springfield. It was really rural.
Like, were there cows roaming the streets?
Mm,
No way.
There weren't roaming the streets, but there were cows.
So there was a lot of farmland in
Farms.
Springfield. How close was your nearest neighbor when you?
Well, we lived in a little neighborhood, but everybody had about 3/4 of an acre of land.
That's a huge lot.
Yeah, but there was only like maybe not 10 houses on the street when in the very early days.
What school did you go to?
Elementary school, I went to Burke Elementary School. Actually, it's been there for a long, long time because one of my girlfriend's mothers went to that school as well. It's not serving as a school now. I think it's like an administration office. And then I went to Irving, the middle school. And after that, I started out at West Springfield, but they built Lake Braddock. And I was the first graduating class of Lake Braddock.
How many people were in your graduating
A
class?
lot. There was like,
Really?
yeah, I think there was like 1,200. There was a lot of people.
Wow, that is a lot. That's a lot by any standards.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what is the most noticeable thing that's changed since back then?
For sure, I guess the most noticeable would be all the building, all the construction that's taken place. Because there was nothing from North Springfield out to, there wasn't anything out here. There was no West Springfield. There was nothing like that around.
No supermarkets or anything?
No, you had to go all the way to Springfield, and to go shopping for shoes, for back to school shoes, you had to go to Landmark.
Oh wow, up in Alexandria.
Right.
So that's like what, 15 miles, right?
Not quite, but yeah, it was a little jump.
So do you appreciate the growth in that there's more stores around, or how do you feel about it?
I actually think that I grew up with it, so I think I'm totally accustomed to it and happy about it. I wish that the roads were, I think there's a lot of congestion, and I think it has to do with roads.
Would you say that that's one of the downsides of development?
Absolutely.
Where do you work?
I'm just recently retired, but
Congratulations.
thank you. I was working up in Arlington for Transportation Security Administration, part of DHS.
So Arlington, what is that, like 20 miles away?
No, it's right at about 16.
How long would it take you on a normal day to get to work?
It's one of the best things about retirement. It was there. I would never get there under 45 minutes. It would definitely take me that long.
Taking 95, right?
Yeah.
395?
Right. Even if I got on the HOV lanes, if I waited till 9 o'clock, it was
45
ridiculous.
minutes.
Yeah,
That's
ridiculous.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see how that could be annoying. Tell me, like, what do you think is the best thing now that you didn't have back then?
I guess I would say probably roads, because you are able to get east-west better than you could before. Used to be, it was more north-south that you could travel.
What road makes that possible?
The county not county connector, it used to be 7100, now they changed it to 286 or
286,
something.
the Fairfax County.
Right,
Highway.
and 66 makes it nice too.
Mhm.
So, except that the congestion is so bad. As long
Yeah.
as you know the times to get on the road. So I would say that that would be probably the best thing, because that adds value to our homes and,
Right.
you know.
Would you, what about like the sense of community? Like, is this a community that you'd want your children to live in, to grow up in, to go to school in?
Yeah, I would. I do have children that have grown up here. We've been as far west and south as Manassas and as far east as Fairfax Station. And I think it's a good area to raise children. The schools are good. And then, you know, just because it's Virginia, colleges are good. So cost of living is a little higher, but you know, you give a little, you get a little, I guess, so.
Excellent. Tell me about the crime rates, then versus now. Have you noticed any changes?
Yeah, I think so. We talk about it a lot because back in our day, you didn't hear about a lot of crime, but was that because they just didn't have the means to getting the information out, or did they think it was too sensitive to put out, or did they not want to scare the public, you know? So I'm sure that there was crime then, but I think it was less violent, you know? I don't see a lot of crime around here. I think since we've lived here, we've been here for, I think, since '89. I have not seen any crime here, but maybe a domestic dispute and a vehicle fire, you know? I mean, so, and it didn't personally affect me, so.
So you've definitely noticed more cars on the road, as you were saying earlier. What about people? More people? Less people?
No, lots more people. You know, I think we constantly are, we have a lot of people because there's a lot of military here. Sometimes we go through bouts where they'll close down certain areas, like Crystal City got closed down, the Navy ended up being moved out and stuff like that, but it still doesn't really affect the number of military that we have come into the area. So I think we have a lot of people.
That's interesting that they would come into a county that is so notoriously expensive.
I guess they get some kind of a
Stipend.
for that. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of them that come in because they're working at the Pentagon,
Yeah.
or through the Pentagon. So.
Yeah. Have you noticed anything up there, like in the DC area, that's changed?
DC, like, I'm not all that familiar with DC. I worked downtown, but in Northwest, that was a very, you know, touristy area. So, I mean, beyond the metro, which was a wonderful addition. I don't know too much about the district. You know, as far as schools, I hear maybe not so good. I know it's crowded, they're trying to bring people, you know, they're trying to build to bring people in.
Right.
But that's about all I know about the district.
Okay. How would you say, that change has been met? Like, have people been pretty accepting of the changes that have gone on over the past decade, couple decades?
If they haven't been directly impacted, I think so. But when they were putting the parkway through, I mean, I knew people personally that were affected by their homes being, you know, torn down. They had no place to go.
Wow.
You know, they didn't want to move, they wanted to stay there, but there wasn't, you know, the county overruled. So they, what is it called when they find a home is not suitable for
Condemned?
they condemn their homes.
They
And then
condemned homes that weren't necessarily.
Condemnable, they were people living in those homes. They were not the folks that had a lot of money, but they were still, giving back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah, there's been people affected that I knew of.
right. But just not a whole lot that you can do, I guess, in a
It's hard to
situation like
fight
that.
City Hall.
Yeah. Yes, it is. That
Yeah.
really does open a whole nother can of worms. Well, that is a lot to think on, Sharon. I do appreciate your time and I appreciate the interview. Thank
Great.
you so much.
Thank you, thanks.
Recording.
Okay, we're good?
Yep.
Okay. Is it okay if I record this interview?
Yes.
Oh, great. I have a few questions about how things have changed since you've been living in this area. How long have you lived in Northern Virginia?
40 years.
40 years. We're good?
Yep.
Okay. Is it okay if I record this interview?
Yes.
Oh, great. I have a few questions about how things have changed since you've been living in this area. How long have you lived in Northern Virginia?
40 years.
40 years. And what's the biggest change in which you've noticed over the last 40 years?
Increased population.
Have you noticed like different ethnicities, or has that like
Yes.
like the ratio stayed the same?
No.
Like what would you say is the most noticeable ethnic group?
Hispanic and Korean.
Hispanic and Korean. How about like how about political changes? Have you noticed any political changes?
I think that politically, the politicians are more wishy-washy. They're afraid to make decisions so they can keep their office. So they don't take firm stands. There's a lot of divisiveness between the Democrat and Republican Party to the point where they can no longer compromise on issues.
Have you noticed, like, are there more, like, political positions, even in local government? Did they used to have all of those positions, like, sheriff or
No,
whatever?
no, there's
Do you
definitely more
remember?
people on the dole.
Do you remember what, like, who were the main, I guess, main community leaders?
Main community leader Jack Harity was real big in politics, and he was huge in this area.
What did he do?
He was the chairperson of the board of supervisors for Fairfax.
For Fairfax County?
Yeah, and he also, he at one time held the position of, he was one of the board members that represented this area.
They definitely still have the board.
Yes.
Do you think that the board does a good job about like hearing out the regular person in the community?
No,
You know,
I think they could care less.
what do you think is the main motivation?
Job security.
Tell me, what is the best thing? What's the best change that's happened over the time you've lived in Northern Virginia?
I'd say the roads have improved greatly. So the transportation system, transportation infrastructure has improved tremendously. They just haven't kept up In other words, there's a lot of potholes, damaged streets and sidewalks and stuff like that. I think that it's become more, in some areas, more pedestrian friendly. So there's more bike paths and more walking paths now than there used to be.
That was a good change. All right, so conversely, what would you say is the worst thing as time has gone on that you've noticed in the area?
Oh, congestion. Congestion.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The traffic, like the roads get better, but the traffic
More
increases.
cars to be on the road. And there's just more development in the area. I don't think that, you can pave over the whole county and we'll never get enough roads.
How do you remember the area when you first got here?
Very rural, winding roads. Some of them only had one-lane bridges on them. So if someone was coming the other way, you usually stopped and gave them the right of way and let them come over the bridge first, and then you would pass over it. I think people are a little bit more community-minded because there wasn't that much of a community. So everybody tended to know each other. It was smaller and a little bit more personal.
Were there farms
Yes.
here, around here?
Yes.
Was Springfield Mall here?
Yes.
So that's like an institution right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I saw it come and I saw it go.
So what has remained the same? What would you say there hasn't been a whole lot of change? But,
Wow, that'd be hard to define. I guess people are people. If you boil it all down, we're still doing the same today as we did yesteryear. We get up every morning, we go to work, we raise our families, we, work in the communities and, love our families.
yeah, I'd say that definitely stays
I think
the
that's a
same.
constant that will never change.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've asked all the questions that I need. Do you have anything else that you want to say about how things have changed or stayed the same, or anything about when you first came into the area, what was noticeable?
Well, when I first came into the area, I lived in Fairfax City, and actually Fairfax City is really growing and more dense populated. But when I first came here, you used to be able to walk from where I lived to work, and there really wasn't that much traffic. Now I wouldn't do it because I'm taking my life in my hands.
Yeah, traffic can definitely be dangerous in this area. Well, thank you so much, Bob.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
It has. Good
I
meeting you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And cut.
Red circle pops up, and then you can press it again. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and give him his induction medication. We're using ketamine and Valium today.